1, go!
Nambra is good. UT is lost and Beyonce just want revenge. So it doesn't look like if the person is good or bad matter. The only thing that these four have in common is that they were zombified just like everyone else. Alright, we have to think way much further than that. Let's compare these four to the rest of the city and the students that were infected. What makes these four so different from everyone else that were infected? The answer is fear. Yes, fear, just like the cat and the mouse. Fear was what the scientist was talking about. For example, when anyone is attacked by a zombie, they see the zombie, and what do? They run away in fear. They are so afraid, whereas these four happy, they are not afraid. So the answer to becoming happy is through fear. Let's go back to what the scientist said about the cat and the mouse one more time. When the cat appeared, all the other mice are afraid and ran away. That's the same thing with the zombies and the students. When they see the zombies, they are so afraid. They try to run away. The students are fearful. In other words, the students become weak. So when the students are infected, the virus checks the host. Oh, this person is weak, has so much fear. So the virus would take over the host in an attempt to look for the next host. Now back to the animals. The scientist said that once in a while there would be a brave mouse that is so fearless that would fight back against the cat, even though the odds are against it. So this is one thing that four happy have in common. At the moment of death, instead of being fearful like everyone else, at the moment of death they are not afraid. They have no fear. Let's take a look at each of our four happy. The very first person is the scientist, Beyonce. At the police station, the zombies attack. See all those people? They're afraid of the zombies. They run away in fear. The only two persons that was not afraid was the cop and the scientist. They were fearless. The their body has no fear, but only the scientist was infected. He's so brave, he already lost his son and his wife, and now his job, so he has no reason to live. He can only do one last thing to save the world. He will protect the cop, so the cop can go get the laptop to save the world. In this moment, the scientist Beyond-chan is fearless. He is not afraid to die. So when the virus infected him, the virus sees that Beyond-chan is a good host. Instead of taking over, the virus turns the scientist into a hammy. Next, we have Yoonji. Even though she was bullied and scared, but the thought of having her picture published online makes her so angry to the point she just want to find and smash the phone. Even though she has to go through all those zombies, she doesn't care about death. She is fearless. Her mind is so focused on the phone, she would rather die than have her picture published. And so, she became a hammy. Number 3, Rayman. At his moment of death, he has only one thing in mind, Cheon-sang's left eye. He doesn't care about the zombie biting him. His vein is filled with hatred and anger, but no fear. So the virus selected him as his new host and made him into a hammy. I'll kill you. I will kill you. I'll kill you. And finally, we have Namra. She just wants to protect all her new friends, especially Suyo. She is willing to risk her life, fearless at the moment of infection. And we have another hammy. So let's review. People became zombie because they exhibit fear. Let's go over people who did not become happy. Young-ju, the one bitten by the hamster, she was fearful when she told the teacher she doesn't want to die. Also, her slowly turning to a zombie is because the science teacher kept injecting her with drugs that helped slow down the spread. This lunch lady, she was brave for a minute, but the very last minute she became so scared when she was bitten. The coach, he was already running away like a chicken. Lots of fear. Minji was bit by the coach and was afraid of turning. Isaac was actually, I think, almost a hammy. She displayed bravery, which is why it took her quite a while for her to turn. The virus was kind of deciding to turn her or not, but because of Na-young screaming and yelling, Isa gave into the fear and the virus took over. Same thing with Yeonsu. He was about to turn into a hammy. He could have. He is pretty brave, but at the very last moment, his thought of being laughed at made him fearful, so the virus took over. She is super skin cat, so she. Okay, so that's an example of a few regular zombies. Let's review. So to become a hammy, of course, you have to the virus was set up to strong. It worked. Now that you understand how anyone can become a hammy, let's find out why Cheon-sang is probably, as we know, he was infected by it. Let's review the rules. One of the biggest things that made a hammy is the regular complicated here when Cheon-sang and finally the last thing, you feel that it's funny. Like this one, the director like to drop takes a beat. His hands in the sun. But Anjo and Namra went back to check. Namra said that she couldn't smell anyone here. The obvious hint would be that means there's no one here alive anymore. The subtle hint would be, what if Cheon-sang had already left, which is why there is no one here anymore. So reason number 2 is Cheon-sang becoming a hammy and had the ability to regenerate or withstand the blast. And finally, reason number 3 is that Cheon-sang is at the edge of the blast radius. Notice that the group escaped to the hillside, just a fence away from the school and the construction site. But the group did not suffer any blast at all, which means they just passed the blast radius just by a little bit. And they have just recently left the construction site. They are not that far away from the construction site where Cheon-sang is. That means the construction site is far enough from the school that is actually on the edge of the blast radius. So it could be safe to say that the fire from the explosion is not that damaging than being closer to the center of the blast. The fire could be just regular fire that a hammy can be hurt but not killed by the fire. So there you have it. That's the reason why Cheon-sang is probably alive. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know what you guys think about the theory in the comment section below. For those who appreciate the hidden and the unhidden, every turn in the road and every turn without a road, in an adventure called life.
phone that's not on T-Mobile makes as much sense as playing ice hockey. Using poles. Get out of the penalty box with 5G coverage like this. T-Mobile has more 5G bars in more places than anyone. T-Mobile, more 5G bars in more places. Another reason T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
That's on your phone. There's definitely play with.
I don't hate these movies or shows I cover, it's just for fun. I write these sins as I watch a movie or show for the first time, so my opinions are a bit more genuine, and also not like input from series. If later input wrong, I said, this is 12 hours of content, right to you, and I'm supposed to be on a break, but you guys really wanted this, and it looked interesting, so here we go. Our first zombie turns to the movie, early assaulted by us humans. While I have questions about this virus and spread, I'm surprised how the first infected isn't able to bite anyone but its high school students. Shinzo Lincoln's mom starts to static and generate materials on zombie. His family member decides to murder him, but out of him beats him to death with a bottle of the hospital. When someone swing by after hearing this impressive blood pumping, he's able to stuff Shinzo's body in a suitcase and get out undetected. Then Jet Sailor, after falling 2 stories and being beaten to death by a Bible, wakes up again like it's nothing, sticking his hand out. Not only did he not wake up while being wheeled out, but I have never seen zombies just take naps like they're a Bethesda main character to heal their wounds. Either way, I'm still surprised no one noticed a dead body in a suitcase. Gotta say, this intro of the title fading to black and white molecules zombies is really cool. Minus one said, if Mr. Lee apparently knows a bite from disinfected mouse is bad, why would you have it so easily accessible to us? No, if zombie can get messed up in anything, pandemics will start demonstrations from security personnel. You can argue it's him trying to get back in the but it didn't seem like that at the very onset. Because high school and live action don't care about no grades. Hornet students rush across the street to not be late for school. The beauty of behind unsure teachers. I can see this as a push-up. And the kids start attacking remarking on company themselves. Minus one said, that's
Bone Ford's giving you more in March. More variety, more ways to save, and more for trades. More variety. Browse our new Ford selection. More custom.
student has been missing since yesterday. Everyone says she was last seen cleaning a science lab. When a teacher confronts Mr. Lee about this and what's his name, he says, oh, it was an instrument. The besides the zombie story here, you should really suss this dude out since he has also been acting weirdly around the village kids. He injects her with benzodiazepine to slow her symptoms as she worries about her mortality. It seems like the injection sparks the most when someone gives the type of emotion. So the plot of what you say is them, right before they pass out, think those words will be dwelled in their head as they wake up. Mr. Lee unlocks that how viruses are undefeatable and are different than what we truly know just in time for Hanju to wake up from her brain-induced coma and break from her meditative containment and without wandering thoughts. This was effective. She never night. Didn't try and let anyone in that short time she got out. Hanju walks to the classroom to explain what happened as she is taken to the infirmary so we can have a description of some of the symptoms, be it extremely low body temperatures, bleeding, and erratic behavior. Good thing Zombie Han only mildly attacked 2 people long enough to comfortably be taken away by it. Zombie Han was able to bite the infirmary doctor pretty decently, and despite what some students thought of as rabies, which is a pretty bad virus, the doctor does not question emergency services about her own bite and seek immediate medical treatment. No, she doesn't do any of that. You would notice a pretty gnarly bite. With someone acting feral like that, emergency personnel would be asking if anyone else was bit just in case of rabies. Hanju was bit by a hamster and administered psychoactive drugs and didn't fully turn within 24 hours. However, the doctor is bitten in the arm and turns within less than an hour. Even though the turn rate is convenient to the plot here, it also actually makes sense for the turn rate's time span due to the severity and placement of the bite. So for once in a zombie series, -1 sin for the first infections not really being inconsistent. The zombie doc is just standing in the infirmary staring at the window. Why wouldn't she be attracted to the sounds of the entire student body getting out of class? One of the bullies is bitten in the face as the doctor runs after more students. The bully turns into a zombie within 30 seconds, trying to hide his stiffy in the process. I realize I just praised the turn rate, and yes, he was violently bitten on the cheek, but still, the fact that Hanju wasn't going around biting people when she first got out of containment, and the doctor is the reason for the outbreak, and she had less than an hour before she turned, is a bit weird to me. Now, this isn't a sin, but just a quick PSA. If you bully people, sexually harass or assault them, torment them to the point where they consider suicide, or just berate them and abuse them in general, fuck you. Learn how to be a decent human. It speaks more volume of you as a person to be kind and generous amidst a world clouded with people uncertain of the future and weary of one another. You can be and do better. Right as Yoonji is about to jump off the roof due to bullying, 4 separate windows are broken through at nearly the same time right beneath her, caused by zombies tackling victims. Good thing 4 separate undead had ample room, opportunity, angles, and timing to shatter public school windows. You're telling me zombies had enough velocity and perfect straight line angles to break through these windows, but in other instances they barely even tinked the glass. Gotta love that perfect life-saving timing. Am I a bad person for kinda hoping the school president would just blindly walk into the zombies with her earbuds in? Sounds genuinely funny, but besides my dark humor, the prez somehow is unfazed and not even brushed by panicking, full-spread students, as she is saved just in the nick of time, because that's how it works for main characters. As the student body floods into the cafeteria, Anjo is knocked to the ground, while everyone is doing the classic, it's a mass panic scene, everyone run in aimless directions. This zombie guy ignores all the free-running people so it can focus on just Anjo specifically. He literally knocks a healthy student out of the way just to get to her. Despite the zombies fighting anyone they get near, up until this point, this zombie decides to just growl at Anjo, giving trailers some good footage and YouTubers a proper thumbnail. This zombie is able to perfectly walk with a traffic cone attached to its leg. This school chef whacks the zombie with the frying pan, Left 4 Dead 2 style, and doesn't think to look behind her at the zombie she just knocked out as she tries to shut the kitchen door. Anjo somehow doesn't get bitten here. Yet just a few seconds ago, a kitchen staff member got bitten much more easily. Lee Chong gets tackled and not bitten by a zombie here. Anjo likes being a bottom but has a no biting rule. Good thing this zombie respects her boundaries. Lee Chong, showing off that he has plot armor, shoves another student into a zombie. Without hesitation, the shoved student gets bitten in an instant. You know what? That other student really should have bought some plot armor. The school staff bring up the fact that students are calling this a zombie outbreak, so they know what zombies are in this universe. You'd think the bully would go straight for the head and not the neck when he fights back against the zombie attacking him. Apparently throwing zombies off of people gets them to fully give up on their target and chase someone else. I'm surprised not more people went into this kitchen, considering there's not many other places to go in a closed-off cafeteria besides the windows. Let's
It's your time to shine. The Red Can Shade Deep Law Service.
It's just the zombies as they draw closer to us, taking the obvious third exit point in front of you for dramatic tension. Man, this is some left for dead ass shit right here. I ain't complaining right now. Active driver Rex is unmarried driving into the school. You'd think a guy that's freshly bitten would be driving all the way from the school to turning as he desperately tried to escape. But hey, whatever, so we can get our main characters up on one of the ground so they can just keep it in the street of this glorious window. I mean, this is something they would have when they have to go on that outside now. Neither of them is attacked. This goes down, these kind of sit there and stare while everyone else is getting chased and attacked. So they are basically taking a risk going back into the school. Honestly, it would have been better for them to get some distance from the building rather than going into the window and hoping that zombies are nearby inside. Lucky for them, there's always someone else that gets attacked in front of them in a surprise attack, while they have tons of distance to get away. This genuinely felt like something that would happen to somebody in a zombie apocalypse. No gallantry, heroics, badassery, none of that how to beat shit. Just genuine, well, you got caught and tried, and you died. Despite him staying on that ladder for longer than he should have. I would have added a sin because he was able to stay on this ladder somehow, but you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and minus a sin anyway. Luckily, almost every main and side character is able to get into this untouched classroom, even though every other classroom has been ransacked or broken into, giving them a moment to breathe. Namra and Soo-hyuk are able to procure the ladder where the janitor was just eaten alive in front of, are able to prop it up in the midst of an outbreak without it teetering or getting knocked over by zombies, are able to climb all the way up it just in time to get into the window before it gets knocked over for dramatic tension. Oh, now zombies are going to show up to the classroom for a classic jump scare. We actually get an explanation behind how the virus was created. More information on it in my Why You Wouldn't Survive video, so go check it out. With Dr. Lee's background in biology driving him mad in order to protect his son from an oppressive world, it does give a mostly good reasoning to how and why this virus spiraled out of control and why it was made. So, minus 1 cent. Zombified Hyun doesn't go full zombie mode until placed in the MRI. You had a whole school turning as she was driven to the hospital, but it isn't until now that she starts to turn. I get she was drugged up, but you'd think the preceding events would have exacerbated her full turning. These nurses witness a full exorcist moment as Hyun snaps her back a full 180 degrees and they just sit there staring at her long enough to get bit. The archery team arrives back at campus to see students and zombie students who haven't really left campus yet. They're kind of just staying on campus grounds for some reason. The students discern zombies can't open doors normally, but make sure to hold it shut just in case. Sensible people in a zombie thing? What? Minus 1 cent. Despite breaking exterior windows and glass doors earlier, these zombies can't muster the strength to even crack these interior windows. We get a realistic look at an emergency call center as numerous reports of zombies. First-time responders thinking it's a joke before the reality sets in. Nice touch. Minus 1 cent. The zombies all run off to chase after the screams of a survivor. One student yells while another says to keep it down to not attract more. Thank you! Sensibility. Minus 1 cent. She calls the fire department to show off and ask for her fireman dad's help. When they say that they cannot do that, then she lies and says there is a fire at the school. What good is a team of firefighters going to do against zombies? They have fire axes and stuff, but you're risking your firefighter dad's life. Why not instead say something like an active shooter or knife-wielding maniac is loose in the school to get an armed response immediately. I think that would be a little more sensible. Coach Jinju appears and starts telling the kids to barricade the doors. Lucky for him, they didn't already start doing that, considering they were using their own bodies to do so before. The coach says he wasn't bit and openly leaves his bite mark out to be easily seen. A coward like him would actively work to cover it up, but now we have a lesson to check for bite marks at least. The coach has enough time to get in and tell everyone to barricade themselves inside with him and have his bite mark exposed before starting to turn. The virus has great cinematic timing. He reanimates and bites this girl in the mouth, and she doesn't turn instantly despite the other guy getting bit on the cheek and turning instantly. They know zombies are around, but didn't prepare some kind of weapon in case they broke in, maybe snap the leg off of a table or something. The girl turns as the coach attacks further, forcing them to leave the classroom. A horde of zombies is waiting for them at the end of the hallway. You think the horde would have already been back at this classroom's window with all the screaming and all the noise they were making earlier. During this 1v7 badass skirmish, he doesn't get bit by any of them once here. This zombie completely ignores the easy target in front of him to go after the other students. They take all the windows and doors off their hinges easily to defend themselves. You would think if they were that easy to take off, the zombies earlier would have easily broken through them or knocked them over. They are able to push the zombie down the stairs via the unhinged door, giving them all enough time to run down the hall for more zombies to show up to go up the stairs again, while the first horde just kind of stumbles around for them to do all of this. Their ferocity sure is selective. The former bully is kicking one zombie at a time as the second horde fastly approaches, just for him to fall on the ground and just stare at his friend and have this kind of moment together. Go, motherfucker, go! There's like 13 zombies! Start running now! Do something! They did acknowledge to watch out for your hands, but I am surprised Daesu did not get his hands bit here. This one zombie is able to jump over the horde, gets knocked down, and then ends up crawling underneath everything. Why have no other zombies tried this yet? They're lucky enough to break the padlock and get in and shut the door right as the zombies come tackling in the nick of time. Cliche. Why would he rest his head underneath the window he just shattered? Oh, that's right. He's the fat guy. Even in Korean cinema, does the only, or one of the only fat people have to be the dumb guy punchline? Either way, even if you're dumb, you would not do this. You would see the shattered window and hear all the noise. And on that note, why was everyone just catching their breath with a fully broken window? You know they can crawl through, right? Why not immediately procure anything you can as a weapon and not wait until they start getting in? Start getting ready to defend yourself. And here we have the comment section arguing on how to handle the situation or how they would survive. Now, why is there a sin? Because they are all at fault for not barricading the room in the first place. The bully in the kitchen pushes a girl into the wake of a zombie and just stays under the table. For a guy that's quick for violence, you'd think he'd use that time to get a weapon, like, I don't know, a kitchen knife or cleaver, instead of just staying put. A girl in the restroom has been bitten, and they lock her in a stall and just stall. Get it? They debate on what to do, saying they have to kill her if she turns. Honestly, it's pretty obvious she will turn, so why not do it instead of risking her biting her? She does turn, especially with the fact that they don't know what kind of zombie they're this virus does involve fear turning into anger. It took this long for someone to fashion a weapon, and it's only because badass girl number 1 decided to make one. So she gets impaled through the mouth and does not die, but an arrow through the neck does. Good thing some of the archery team survived. Ended up going into the school infested with zombies in order to save them. Why would you want to go to the restroom at a time like this? Well, as Dr. Ian Malcolm once said, you gotta go, you gotta. The English teacher announces to stay safe as we see everyone else surviving, and we get 2 hints at the zombies' behavior, between them being attracted to sound and that they can't climb high. I hope they stay true to their established traits later on. As the girl comforts the other, she notices her hand is cold to the touch when her eyes and ears start to bleed and turn red. Now, it's realistic to see one person was bit in that situation from earlier, but why would you hug someone you know is infected and rapidly turning? You have seen firsthand how fast they can go from best friends forever to fighting friends forever. She convulses and turns, and still no one has a weapon ready. At the first sign of her turning, someone should have been finding something to stab or beat her skull in. It wouldn't be that hard. Get a desk ready as she's kind of flailing on the ground. That's your opportunity. Nope. Instead, she busts through a window, but is able to hold on to the edge as a zombie and have a "Scar! Help me, brother!" moment with her friend. They decide to rappel out the window to escape, and somehow not a single zombie sees this arm flailing about to grab the fire hose from outside the classroom. This plan works, and all but the last girl and guy have descended down to the broadcasting room as the zombie horde finally starts breaking in. The girl says she has nothing to live for and contemplates staying to get eaten alive. Luckily, the zombies are polite enough to wait long enough for the guy to talk her down. Chung-sun does not get bitten here. We get an end of episode fake out of Chung-sun falling backwards out of a window as a zombie pursues him. But he somehow grabs the hose on the way down next episode. How? He jumped way too far out in a backflip to be able to pull this off, only 1 floor down, especially with the zombie attached to his foot. How did they both end up doing this? We suddenly have a girl giving birth in a bathroom because we couldn't have a zombie drama show without a crying, shitting, noise-making baby. Ex-bully avoids a falling zombie, and Tarzan's his way on the hose. You know, repeating the sins of your friends doesn't make it better. The not-so-pregnant girl somehow doesn't get splattered here. All passengers in this car were bitten, and it wasn't until driving near a main character did they turn and crash for a second time. You would think these 2 cops, after being bitten, would not immediately get in a car with an infected and handcuffed person. But hey, whatever, so it looks pretty cool. Several bystanders at the wreck get bitten and turn instantly. Why? Because of the background character genome in their DNA. If you're a background character, you turn like that. The new baby mama goes back into the bathroom for her newborn, and it's not crying, attracting zombies. And as she goes out, she just stares at a guy getting disemboweled. Now, I realize this show is a commentary on society showcasing sociological factors in the students, and the teen mom is gonna be right with that. But I'm so sick of babies popping up in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. It's just tiresome. The hose breaks the window with no rhyme or reason. Chung-sun goes to check without any sound being made. And then, jump scare by a mindless zombie attached to the hose. Because why not? You would think he'd be going the whole time, but now he's silent until he falls over. She flails around in the window, and no one decides to procure a weapon except John. These business suits were able to tie an infected to a chair. How? Without anyone getting bitten. The firefighters go to gag him, and one gets bit. So, the professionals that deal with this kind of stuff are not equipped enough, but the suits are. Of course, the call about a disaster-level event comes in the second after the bite occurs. And our first-class commentary, Gyeonsu, has a cut on his wrist that makes the rich girl, Na-yeon, believe he is infected after berating him about being poor earlier, calling him a wealthy for being on welfare. While everyone else clears him, she urges an opened wound is a viable vector for transmission, and I don't blame her for her skepticism. You guys are still trying to figure out how this virus works, and a mere scratch with trace amounts of blood or saliva could very well turn someone. They all say she's doing this to pick on him, and that it's cruel as this is life or death. Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, it is life or death. Emotions and personal history aside, realism is what's pretty needed, pretty boy. And we have the teacher with reason chiming in and saying he should isolate in a separate room for 10 minutes just to be sure. That's a good compromise, as even if he is infected, it'll be good to know if a scratch will be cause for alarm or not. You need to know how this virus works. -1 said, the bully throws another 2 people in harm's way to die. Somehow surviving this, he discovers that, in fact, a sufficient stab to the neck takes them out. And I guess that's this show's unique way of how to kill zombies instead of to the head. I guess that shuts me up from earlier of the whole bow to the neck. So, -1 cent, I guess. The firefighter dad is told not to get bit over radio, and that's when the virus decides this guy should blatantly show symptoms after being bitten earlier and start turning, all in the span of 5 seconds. Hillsong's district has over 200 infected flooding down the road, and a line of riot cops standing firm to keep them from progressing. You would think use of deadly force would be authorized, but I'm not educated on South Korean police forcing. As an American myself, things are kind of different here. A little old lady with a limp can outrun full sprint infected. Yan is forced to go inside Yansu's quarantine to apologize, and she still commits to this evil rich bitch routine and intentionally infects him with a bloody rag. I get it's to show how heinous she is and the class disparity and all that, but to purposefully infect a person over being pushed and money? Really? This doesn't seem like a person. It's a character to drive this plot element. It's just, you're putting yourself at risk just because someone made you mad? You're poor. Die, scum.
Chances are you served not all this paperwork. That's where some problem comes. We make it easy to write your message, so you can spend more time with your friends. Simple revenue. Click the button to learn more today.
As Kyotsu transforms in a dramatic asking how and why this is happening as everyone else just stares at him. Yeah, it's sad, but you could argue it's slower because it wasn't a bite, he got a little bit of blood in his open wound. But I still say the virus loves dramatic tension more than anything. Kyotsu agrees to leave before turning, but the virus plays on his fears and insecurities as he resonates the words of the rich bitch and turns to see everyone else as threats, giving us a window into why zombies attack others. The virus wants to spread the infection, so it makes the host believe everyone else is out to get them. -1 sin for a much-needed perspective. Chungson is able to whistle at Zombie Gun, leading him to jump out a window. Good thing students are able to quickly figure out that symbolic moments like whistling can override viral rage for a few seconds. Nayan admits to infecting Yangsu, and because everyone blames her, she thinks, oh, I have no friends, I'm gonna walk out on my own. With all the noise they've been making, I'm surprised no zombies were already at the door to eat her the second she walks out. Oh, there is some zombies down the hallway, but we get enough time for the teacher to walk outside and save her at the last second. Hey, it's basically me every time I discuss what you need to survive, even down to the subscribe at the end. -1 sin because that's what it truly takes to prepare. Chungson's mom avoids hordes of undead, does it multiple times, runs away from them as they were chasing her. She gets to the schoolyard, and the first infected out of an entire student body she sees there is her son's best friend, Kyotsu, who who earlier ran off with the ward and is now by himself. The mom decides to run to him as he's growling and bloodied, looking like the infected that almost tried to kill her multiple times, and she's expecting answers about her son from this zombie. Like, girl, I know he was your son's friend, but you should know better by now. But whatever, old ladies and moms and dads are stupid and emotional and couldn't possibly rationalize anything. Asking the real questions, how and where are we going to be pooping? Truly innovative for zombie media. This isn't sarcasm, -1 cent. The bully escapes the school and avoids getting bitten in all these situations here. His escape bike gets off the chain. While he struggles to get it moving, no zombie catches up to him here. Lucky for him, not a single zombie was close enough to attack him in this panic. Long enough for him to find a door to shut in the nick of time as the ward slams against it. Cliche. 3 zombies in this room must be deaf for not swarming out of the room at the amount of noise the bully made at this point. Bully with a mullet, we'll call him Mully, is pretty damn efficient with a knife to the neck. And he gets to have this slow, I look like a killer you see on True Crime, mixed with the K-pop icon, while just staring at nothing for a few seconds. Lucky the zombie behind him gave him time to collect himself. So the edgy teen girl harasses the archery girl about going to college for being good at archery? What? Is that not someone you would want to be on a good side with? Like, an archer in a zombie apocalypse, when guns aren't really available, is probably your best bet at survival. But no, this has teens, and obviously teens care more about drama than survival. What? They start fighting? Why? What was the build-up here? What the fuck is this girl's problem? I get it, school is hard, but you know what's harder? Fucking dying because you want to make a bunch of noise in a restaurant in a zombie apocalypse over guys' future after graduating school that you don't even know if graduating is even a thing anymore. Plus, it makes sense. Now, I agree with Steve's thinking about it rationally, considering everything. You wouldn't want to be whispering to Jim constantly in silence. It's not very good. And also, whatever stream service you're on, well, they can probably have made the stream zombies today, whatever, but stream chat is suggesting to him what's the future survival. All their suggestions are telling him you know what, that's pretty accurate, but what's changing calling his way tension and whatnot, that's probably the dumbest shit you can do. But you know what? It's everyday life. All this is genuinely terrifying. Why did all these kids decide to hide in the dark and do this jump scare all at the same time? What is this coordinated effort? He gets away from this many kid zombies while still keeping his stream even and whatnot, and he even stopped to see them coming for video footage. But how did he survive that? Dr. Lee is interrogated and reveals more on why he unleashed his virus as penance for the cruelty of bullying. Zombies begin to arrive at the station, and we see this cop was bitten on the face while another gets eaten. Gotta love how trained cops are less capable of fighting zombies than a douchey bully with a mullet. The main cop fends off zombies while Doc Lee stares as he both loves and hates his creation. No zombies attack him until he leaps in and gets himself bitten. Every other cop gets bitten, but as he beats a zombie to a pulp, this one just growls behind him. Doc Lee sacrifices himself as he says his laptop in the science room of the school has all the answers. You know, I doubt it, but okay, you gotta have some kind of plot-driven narrative. The MacGuffin. However, I seriously doubt every single zombie would stop in their tracks to sink their teeth in unison in the virus's creator's body. Earlier zombies ignored easy targets to chase faraway survivors, but not here. The cop escapes the building only to land in front of a leashed zombie prisoner. Lucky for him, it couldn't reach him, and double lucky no other zombies attacked him while he had that stare down, as he considered a nice, juicy kiss. The cop runs into a guy pinned by a car. You know, this dude would've and should've been easily eaten up by now. I mean, he's sitting there crying and whatnot. that, and the cop somehow pulls him out without getting interfered by the police corpse. Get it? Not corpse, but corpse. I think that works. There's corpse in police officers, right? Anyways, next set. The restroom squad overnight fashioned spears to defend themselves. It really shouldn't take a high-class archer to come up with this idea. Other groups. The bullies forced this guy to record Hisu as she was forced to undress and scheduled the video post to go up online at 9 a.m. unless they were paid. Well, the zombie apocalypse happens, so the post went up and the girl panics. But I just don't think anyone will really care due to the zombie apocalypse, considering most, if not all, the people at school and her family are probably dead anyways. And even if so, this kind of video would be sketchy as fuck to anyone, and many would consider this sexual harassment, and social media would delete this post pretty quickly. But regardless, she's gonna go inside the school to find the bully's phone. Okay, I get that this was horrible and she was suicidal, but what good is it gonna do if you're dead? I mean, it's a whole lot of irrationality, but I get it, teens are irrational. Izu gets chased down by herself and bitten by dozens of zombies, but it is revealed she doesn't turn, giving us another twist as she walks away bloodied, but still human, without any zombies paying her a mind now, showing she is indeed infected. Interesting. -1 said, Su Hyuk and Chung Shan scaled the windows to get to the classroom to procure a phone to figure out the outside world situation. Unlucky for them, at that exact moment did the infected Kisu arrive to smash every phone to prevent anyone from seeing the posts about her. I guess the virus infecting unturned people still gives them pretty good dramatic timing. Kisu sees the two trying to grab the phone and flies into a furious rage, gaining the attention of a number of zombies. Chung finds a busted phone, so he dives into the zombies to get a working one. Lucky for them, these zombies are all incompetent at their jobs and flailing about on equipment for him to check the phone, install enough for them to both get away unharmed. The firefighters pull off a good defense with these civilians, desks, and fire hoses. Really creative, and maybe I was wrong about sending firefighters over cops, especially since most of the cops here died within moments. -1 said. Pressing the horde with WA, they need those second firemen to cut the padlock to the roof. This one businessman doesn't stay there to help their only line of defense and at least hold it closed. No, just runs off. As the group gets the padlock cut open, the sole fireman fends off two separate boards and still makes it out unscathed without any zombies chasing after him. Jong-sun somehow doesn't get many first times here. Jong finds the bully tying up the principal. He reports this saying he will send it to the police and says the police are trash. Police are busy and we're dead first off. And dude, the guy has a bloody knife and is obviously a psychopath. I get trying to be truthful and symbolize this character's essence, but sometimes you gotta play both fields and not antagonize the guy that could stab and either kill you or infect you with tainted blood. Hell, he just slit the principal's throat. Hand over the phone, he can figure something out, work with him, and then he can turn on him later when he least expects it. Also, what are the chances of him running into two separate but conflicting survivors over acquiring a singular phone? Aren't phones easily attainable commodities in today's day and age, despite school regulations? Only the bully chases him down and is ninja zombied only to easily stab it. Good thing the zombies have spared themselves out after all that noise they had been making was made, so they can have this long, dramatic chase. The bully throws a knife like a pro Call of Duty player and perfectly stabs him from afar. I don't see how he pulled this off. Maybe if he was in the archery class and specialized in throwing weapons? Yeah, sure. And all of this while being chased by a horde, you'd think you'd want to keep the knife on you, but whatever. We get an in-depth look at the city under martial law and quarantine and how people in the country outside it act. The stock market. Oh no! Outside healthy people refusing refugees any help, religious zealots saying this is God's will, all while government officials debate on how to move further. Good to see perspectives in the grand scale instead of just the school kids and their families. -1 said. Bully continues his chalk chase into the library where a nerd is raped. same bookcase, gets up there, knocks the nerd off, and the nerd instantly gets devoured by the zombie. You gotta love how the plot armor is able to swing here. Chong struggles to climb this bookcase and somehow doesn't get bitten through shin, leg, foot, or anything. Two face off on separate bookcases as zombies try and get up to them. Bully wants the phone so the vid doesn't get leaked. Why not compromise and say, can we at least use this to call for help and I won't say anything? No, just gonna let this guy kill you over a phone you could probably find elsewhere or a computer you can use? Bully tackles Chong, causing him to bash his head on the bookcase. With a potential concussion, he is still able to avoid being bitten numerous times here. They have a Lion King battle atop the bookcases. Bully has it pinned as he grabs the phone. Chong slaps the phone in the air and gracefully catches it with his other hand. Bro, okay. How have the zombies not knocked this case over by now? Chong stabs him in the eye with the corner of the phone. I guess you can see that as symbolic and allows him to push the bully into the horde, but I just can't see you stabbing somebody that deeply with a phone. We have seen just one zombie be able to disembowel someone, but hordes of infected can barely fight up main characters that end up surviving the infection. With the horde now off the bully's body, they now decide to start knocking over the bookcases like dominoes because their virus knows the dramatic battle is over. This library glass door somehow isn't broken in a similar fashion to the cafeteria glass doors that were easily shattered by the infected horde earlier. The one time Chong is actually about to get bitten, and he is saved by the archer. Good timing. Thankfully, no zombies noticed healthy survivors just standing there for this to happen. Not only that, but they saved Chong, but don't see Chong after the zombie was attacking him in the wall. You wouldn't think they would have noticed him run in there, but... So, Chong finally gets time to use the phone, and the archers finally find a computer to get online. And we get perfectly timed press conferences saying they are cutting phone and internet services. What? To improve operations efficiency, I can get limiting phone calls, but emergency ones? Is this really a thing, or just a plot device to make communication more difficult? It wouldn't make sense to get rid of every form of communication possible, as they cite fake news. While I'm not for generic moments in zombie media, it would make way more sense for the power to just go out and cellular service towers to stop working because of the pandemic. But yo, we have to have the social commentary. We see the zombie teen mom still strapped to the door with her baby across the room. It's been there overnight, and this baby is not crying out loud despite being left alone with a bunch of growling zombies for hours on end. How? And how has she not gotten loose and eaten this baby alive at this point? Or how have none of the zombies broken through the glass? The cop and his new buddy go to jumpstart a car, and his new buddy decides to be loud while sneaking towards it. Okay, whatever. They get in, and it doesn't start. And in a weird sequence, they somehow get out unscathed numerous times, even though they were trapped in a car. Also, I did not speed up this footage. That's just how it is. The cop ends up at the chicken restaurant with zombie teen mom, gets a pair of scissors ready to kill her, and sees that she is tied up and just sits down and doesn't pay her any mind. Wouldn't you want to kill this threat in case it wiggles loose and all, potentially bites you? The cop's new buddy is more scared of a silent baby wrapped in cloth than the feral woman across the room or the zombies banging at the window. Chong-san busts out of the cramped maintenance shaft and is able to maneuver around these zombies sloppily. Look, I'm sure you're tired of me saying without getting bit, but hey, I'm tired too. And we aren't even halfway done with the show yet, so let's keep it going, baby! This zombie busts down the door so easily, but others can barely tap glass. Okay, he is caught between two hordes. Lucky for him, an unbroken door was nearby with no zombies in the way to shut the door just in time as zombies slam against it, cliche. The archer girl says they should go to the archery room for the emergency phone and to get more arrows, so they go out the window. The horde gives them enough time to have people jump out, take their time, and to only stun one zombie at a time while the others just keep running in place. The classroom group had people retrieve drones from the science room to find Chong-san, then flight out to see further out only for this girl to see her zombified parents. I don't know much of what the drone was here to accomplish or what it could have done here, except waste its potential by letting it die in an unretrievable place amongst a ton of zombies. You know what they could have done? They could have used that to scout areas ahead to see if it's safe, or, use drones as distractions to lure hordes away from potential locations they want to go to. But no, we're just gonna let it fly out super far and die. Okay. The bully reanimates as a half-human, half-zombie hybrid that a flashback of Doc Lee says is due to the virus mutating. More on that in my Why You Wouldn't Survive video, go check it out. But we get an interesting scene of zombies ignoring him as he lets his anger over Chong Song swell up as he discovers his new abilities. It's a pretty neat, new, and additional threat, so I'm going to take off a sin right here. They devise a plan to use the PA system to distract zombies with music on speakers to escape and to communicate with Chong Song. Not a bad idea, but it didn't dawn on y'all or any of you to use it beforehand, especially after wasting your drone. The zombies are distracted, except for one bumping into a wall over and over again, so they assume he is deaf. They try sneaking past it, but why not just kill it while it's looking away before it turns around? Of course, we see half of a body lying there dead. How did the bully and the suicidal girl both not end up like this before turning? The bully hunts them because of the PA announcement and discovers their plan to get to the roof. Because somehow he had to figure this out. Soo-hyuk is left behind and almost bitten when his former bully ally saves him. Bully says he wants to kill Chong-san, causing a 1v1 fight to happen. Hyuk is getting wrecked when the class president shows up to get bitten by the bully. Where was everyone else, and why would the small girl be the only one to go check on Soo-hyuk? Hyuk easily pushes him out this conveniently placed window, despite these half-bees being stronger than a regular human. The archery squad has to open a number lock for the archery room, but the archers didn't think to tell Edgy Girl or the fat dude the code beforehand, so there's more stress. You'd think they would tell them about a code on this lock that is so important. Getting inside without getting bitten and just shut the door just as the zombies slam against it, cliche. They just realize Hyuk and Class Prez aren't around. They go outside and they are conveniently running towards them with the horde in tow to shut the door in the nick of time for a double cliche combo. Earlier, Chong-san left a zombie pinned under a piano alive. They return to this room and just say to leave it alone and ignore it. Why not kill something that could wiggle out and bite someone? Why just leave it there? Living conditions within the quarantine camp are heated and low, with special ops saying they'll have to quarantine for at least a month, which is pretty fair considering this virus makes zombies. But the firefighter is able to knock out two armed guards and secure their repair. One of them will stop plastic for sure and shot. Class president Rob reveals her profile for the first time with the classroom students and secure a weapon to kill her. Not for preparation for a potential attack, not for the live zombie but in the moment, no, you have to finally procure a weapon because the main character showed it by and we have to have this between trouble. I'm also surprised they aren't set the clock for having blood on his face, since they all know zombie blood and more of this can potentially infect you. And the bully spilled zombie blood on his face earlier, but why is no one wary of that at all? Namra stays on the windowsill and says to push her if she starts turning and going feral. That is a good ultimatum to see how a bite from someone potentially infected could turn out. Namra starts feeling it now, Mr. Krabs, and notes how good her upcoming boyfriend smells before looking like she'll bite him. Chong rightfully attacks her, but throws before dead-ass hoes causes two main guys to fight. One of the girls brings up the fact that Namra may be immune or a carrier, as shown in the movies. Good to see zombie sins in all these zombie movies are reflecting on people and movie characters. -1 cent. They look to drive the chicken restaurant's moped to get away. But where did that horde of zombies that have been banging on the windows for 24 hours go? They suddenly all disappear so they can have this moment.
Bone Ford's giving you more in March. More variety, more ways to save, and more for trades. More variety. Browse our new Ford selection or custom order the exact Ford you want through Acceleride. More ways.
And as they're about to...
He didn't want to shoot the